Hello, everyone. Today is October 24th, 2017. I'm going to share with you some information that I worked on for many years concerning the TEMPLA MAR matrix. First, some little background. The TEMPLA MAR matrix is probably the key matrix on the planet, other than the now formed overlord, shall we say, matrix of Pyramidus Radius matrix. The Pyramidus Radius, which I became aware of anyway, that was coming forward and forming to a point where they informed me, my sources, both, was about 4 years ago. Maybe it was probably already building before then, but I was not aware of it. That was when Thoth informed me, and it has progressively developed. Now that matrix, the Pyramidus Radius, encompasses all the planetary matrices that are of the light and of the functioning Metatronic fulcrum. So that would include the TEMPLA MAR. Now the TEMPLA MAR I was told about, in the 1990s, early 1990s. And it remains a very powerful and important platform, shall we say. So I'm going to read to you, and I will make commentary on it as I go along, an article from the last issue of Temple Doors, which would be 1999. And in it, my former husband, Sha'Maia-NEAAF, who was with me then, he and I together formulated this article out of all the mentions I had made of this TEMPLA MAR through the years. And so it's my material, but he helped me formulate it, get it together in the right order, and clarify that this is what this is. It's a document that brings it all together out of all of my work. So we worked on that together to sort of like a capsule of the whole thing, since it was so important. And it was spread out all over the place. So that said, I'm going to begin reading it. The Future Now and the TEMPLA MAR. The TEMPLA MAR matrix, or temple, is also referred to in previous information we have published as the Temple of the Emblem Mar and Totem, T-O-T-E-M. In this article, we will use the term TEMPLA MAR to describe it. The TEMPLA MAR is a specific inner planes matrix which was programmed to enter the Earth's linear timeline in 1993 from a distant point in the future new Earth star, or ascended reality. This inner planes matrix is to be differentiated from an Earth grid in that while it interacts with the current time Earth and has geophysical points upon which it is anchored, its true location is in a future dimension of this planet's reality. Furthermore, the TEMPLA MAR spans various associated universal reality systems. The TEMPLA MAR's place of true anchoring is located in the future city of Corbola, which finds its point of cohesion geographically on the current Earth in the area of Masada near the Dead Sea in Israel. Masada holds light codes within the matter of the current Earth, which form a template for the future time city of Corbola. Thus, they share the same etheric space, but in different time fields. The TEMPLA MAR's cosmic aspects. The TEMPLA MAR is established under the Archangel Metatron by Thoth. Within Metatron's sphere of activity are the Seraphimic Angelic Order of Ennead and its suborder called the Shulamite. Also falling within the domain of Metatron is the hierarchy of the office of Christ, or the Christos. The Shulamite are lesser Seraphimic angels under the Ennead who manifest through celestial radials interpolated within the Rana time wave and the Earth plane at certain temporal points in time. I know that's a mouthful, and if you're not familiar with all these terms, it can be difficult to understand. And I really can't take the time to go to all the terms here. But, you can go to my Spirit Mythos website, and in its own search, you can type in a lot of these things and come up with at least some information on it. And you can also, if you're a member of my portal, you have access to all the Temple Doors issues and all of that, which has all this information in it. So to continue, the show, I read that, okay? So the name Shulamite is translated as they who come to the shore. The shore, in this understanding, is the brink between the sleep of our unawakened consciousness and the great, pardon me, I have to turn the page here, I know it's going to make noise, and the dream time, or greater awareness. The Shulamite come to the earth only when summoned in a specific way. There were ancient migrants from the Atlantean province of Ruta, remember now that's the ascended isle of Atlantis, known as the Kopharians, who dwelt in the Assyrian lands. The Kopharians summoned the Shulamite and brought them through the veil, but not entirely. An analogy would be the Shulamite hydroplaning into Earth's real-time ether as if upon the surface of a still pool. They enter this reality, but not fully, rather leaving their cosmic ripples upon the earth and waters, or ether. The Kopharians call this process araku, which means to bind in light by burning a path, trace, or mark upon the ethers. This is an important understanding, for when the Shulamite enter into araku with the earth, they not only come as messengers of the divine word, but as powerful energy forms which have the ability to depolarize entropic patterns in matter and to reactivate the Imstra molecule or divine codes within the DNA. The creation of a Taichon vault, T-A-Y-C-H-O-N, in 1993 opened a greater field of access for the Shulamite when summoned. A Taichon vault is a chamber within the TEMPLA MAR which was created through a cooperative effort in synergy between the Isis Templars, a group which has since been replaced. Well, it hasn't. I'm going to stop there and say now it's been replaced by the Sholar. We kept changing it as I moved to different locations, but now we're in a global international group and we're called the Sholar. But at the time we did this, we worked with this, we were called the Isis Templars. The Shulamite will not be able to utilize the path opened by the Taichon vault in the TEMPLA MAR, but they will in turn activate it to an even greater level of access for a future event. The Taichon vault, I think I should be calling it Taichon, radiates blue, sapphire, amethystine, violet, and diamond white light. Through these gem fires is created a field of overlay between the three polarity universes, positive, neutral, negative, and the three millenniums. Now, millenniums in this terminology does not mean 100 years. I don't know why Thoth ever gave the name millennium, but that's what he did because it's confusing. But the millenniums, the three millenniums, are before the time tear and now, which is after the time tear, and in the future, which is the third millennium. That's, I imagine, the New Earth star connection. The latter is a term for the divisions of all time which exists outside of the Rana timeway. That's the third millennium. The overall format, which is formed by the composite dynamics of sapphire, amethystine, diamond light, the three polarity universes, and the three millenniums, develops a composite positioning of stellar influences which form the path of Azuma. Azuma is the Quetzalcoatl archetype in an earlier high Mayan cosmology. The path of Azuma is a specific Zuvuya, which is defined in the Mayan oracle by Ariel Spilsbury and Michael Brenner as, quote, the galactic memory circuit by which all things return to themselves, the return path to the stars, the grammar of harmony, the 13th or highest heaven of the Maya, unquote. This memory circuit links our universe with the two other universes, thereby allowing access between all dimensions and millenniums of being. The guardians of the TEMPLA MAR are called the Kyi'Ra. These are the beings that hold the stations of Anubis, once a mystery school focused unto themselves, but now which exists solely within the etheric. The Kyi'Ra are preparers of the way, for those who enter the underworld or inner dimensions of time-space. They are currently integrating with Earth Davic consciousness as wolves and sometimes coyotes and foxes, but to the Egyptians they were jackals and associated with Sirius. The Kyi'Optus do not have any understanding of indecision, fear, and lesser ego. They know only the passage of wisdom through knowledge of truth. Thus, those who would choose to interact with Kyi'Optus would should be sure they truly desire and are ready to receive that which they ask of them. As a mystery school focus, the stations of Anubis were created by Thoth in his incarnation as Rama, race myth of Afra. Anubis was in fact created from an aspect of the Sahu energy body of Thoth. If you will remember, Thoth is the master architect of the TEMPLA MAR as well. Thus, it becomes apparent that the Kyi'Optus Anubis TEMPLA MAR dynamic is an extension of his being par excellence. The TEMPLA MAR's current Earth interface. Thoth and other illumined beings are able to move back and forth through time, or perhaps it would be more correct to say that their beingness encompasses all time as we know it. Therefore, these beings can enter the newer star of the future at will. Thoth designed and established a main temple in Corbola that holds specific light codes for the transmission of consciousness through time-space. Now remember, Corbola is in the newer star. Actually, it's more on the very lip of it. It is in the newer star, but it's like, just barely. It's like it's almost interfaced there between the two. Then he created crystalline pathways or synapses from Corbola to the crystalline grid installed by the Mystery Temple upon the Mongolian Rim in Arizona in 1994. Several persons involved at that time in the inner core work of the Mazaroth on the Thai Temple Mysterium, formerly the Star of Isis Mystery School, and of course now it is the New Earth Star Inner Academy. Oh my, what is it going to become next? Anyway, if you're still with me here. Anyway, several persons involved in the inner core work at the time of my organization, shall we say, traveled to the Mongolian Rim and installed a physical and crystalline grid altar into the earth there, working with specific procedures as given by Thoth. The main TEMPLA MAR dynamic in Corbola was then anchored into our space-time reality via these synapses. These synapses find their path between the Mongolian Rim and Corbola via Masada. The Mongolian Rim acts as a receptive, resonating field. The TEMPLA MAR dynamic is now preparing the Mongolian Rim for its future function. This function will be one which facilitates the reunion of various spiritual power points throughout space-time. This reunion will involve the spiritual essence of these places' events coming together not only with each other, but also with the Rama time wave. Thus, the Mongolian Rim anchor point serves to ground higher light forms through which sentient consciousness may commune and build healing forms together. This interaction forms a light language of its own, which is created by souls in communion with each other through the TEMPLA MAR dynamic. As this light language penetrates through the Kali Rift, that's where the tear, and passes into the Rama time wave via the TEMPLA MAR as an intermediary contact point, the Kali Rift can be worked upon for planetary time fracture healing from a greater place of stability and awareness. Now let's stop just a moment here. This was written in 1999, and of course it's referring to material all over the place that was written previously in previous years in the 1990s. And so now, see, Thoth was really guiding me to come back to this material. And now he's telling me that the TEMPLA MAR has secured all these points, or maybe there's going to be more and more points, but it has secured this, was able to secure what was talking about here way back in the 90s, because now the TEMPLA MAR is, as with all of the Metatronic grids, within the Pyramidus radius. So the TEMPLA MAR is a computer chip within the greater computer chip of the pyramids radius, if you kind of want to look at it like that. It's a little section. If you wanted to see a brain, you'd find a little section in the brain that was sort of mapped out specifically, and we could call that TEMPLA MAR. And then the bigger brain is the pyramids radius. So we have this mapped out region now in the TEMPLA MAR. And I use kind of computer terms because really all of our computer stuff was developed subconsciously, intercosmic relationship wise to actual cosmic law, and how the ultras and the higher beings work with that to create these synapses and these computers, these ultra computers of consciousness. And this is all divine spiritual work. It's not nuts and bolts stuff. It's not, you know, aliens controlling us. It's not that kind of thing. It is true Metatronic spiritual form. So we can think of the pyramids radius as this beautifully constructed, angelically aligned computer of the ethers. And within it, we have the interface of Earth, the hologram of Earth, because we are a holographic reality. Not because some nasty beings created us, but because that's part of the whole construct and function of universal oneness. And that topic is beyond my comprehension at this time. Probably because I'm a human being. Maybe when I pass over, maybe I'll get it, maybe not. But anyway, the point is that it's all of divine origin. So we have this divine computer called the pyramids radius matrix. And within it, we have lots of things, but one of them is the TEMPLA MAR. And the TEMPLA MAR is actually, to my knowledge at this time, the highest mapped area, the most crucial, that's the word I was looking for, not highest, but crucial, to the pyramids radius. Now, something else may develop along the way that's more crucial, but right now, this is what I'm receiving. And I have not been talking about it because so much else has been going on. And then Thoth said, you got to get back to this now. So he wants us to know about this, to re-know about it, and realize that the TEMPLA MAR is developing even further, has developed even further, and is still going to be the main central control mechanism for, specifically for, interface with the New Earth consciousness, the New Earth world, between our world here, within the pyramids radius, and the New Earth. And it is also the station of light where we may interact with all those properties through this arena that I'm calling, we are calling, Thoth and I are calling TEMPLA MAR. Now, in the footnotes here, before we continue, I'm not going to read all these footnotes, but this one, the Rana time wave is the universal flow of time which represents the true time flow of our origins. The universal tear or universal fall in the fabric of time-space created numerous deviations from the Rana. The Earth's place of origin as a planetary consciousness is within one of the parallel deviations to the Rana. The Kali rift is a further tear in the fabric of space-time. Beyond that, a deviation upon a deviation, so to speak. One can think of it as a lesser version of the original fall from grace, which was experienced at a universal level. Simply put, this lesser version is really applicable for our solar system alone, whereas the universal tear encompasses many systems and universes. So, you know, if you want to get the full skivvy on this, you need Temple Doors Volume 199, which is the last issue of Temple Doors ever. And as it so happens, I am closing my spirit store. It's now the 17th, and it's the 24th. And in a few days, I'm going to be closing that store, so you won't be able to obtain this unless you subscribe to my portal, and the whole vault of Thoth is in there. So, okay, we continue. Another page turn. Sorry, I know that sounds really loud on the computer. Now, on a sacred journey, which this mystery temple facilitated to Egypt, Sinai, Jordan, and Israel in November of 1997, a small company of us visited the ruins of Masada in Israel. These ruins sit atop an impressive plateau overlooking the Dead Sea. It was a profound experience for many reasons, but the one most relative to this article is that we made a very conscious link to the future Corbolan city, which coexists with Masada in a space-time overlap. It was quite profound, as we were given a direct interaction with one of the Corbolans named Yanni Hoka. He took us through a specific ceremonial initiation, which remains vivid in our minds to this day. This particular area of the earth, Masada, was chosen to be the interface with Corbola aeons ago, when the Sunbow clan set the codes within the geophysical earth for the time of ascension. There are specific areas of the earth called golden tie allotments, which hold specific codes for ascension inserted by the Sunbow clan in these ancient times. The Sunbow clan coming from the Blue Star Rigel in Orion. Only 20% of the Earth's surface area is encoded in this way, and thus only those portions will actually ascend. Now, when speaking of ascending, I say again for the new people that are listening to this, it doesn't mean rocks and boulders flying up in the air. It means the light codes that actually create the rocks and boulders. Remember, we're in a holographic universe. So that's what we're talking about here. Masada and the Dead Sea are just such an area. In addition to having the correct codes for ascension, the area of the Dead Sea claiming portions of Jordan, Israel, and the Sinai is one of the future gates of this ascension grid referred to as the Osiris Center. This gate, along with the Isis Center on Easter Island, will open in the earth as additional chakra points for the planet just prior to ascension into the New Earth Star reality at the Light Principle 40 event, LP40 Ascension. As the Osiris Center, the Masada Dead Sea region is a prime facilitator for the whole ascension program for Earth. Well, when I wrote this, I had no idea how important Osiris was going to be in my life. Now with the Osiris Arising Project and all the new information about Osiris, not only as a soul, that's just a small portion, but the whole dynamic has come forth now, long after I wrote this material. The ascension program for the Earth does not end after it enters the New Earth Star reality. This is an ongoing process which eventually links many dimensions, realities, and space-time continuum together. It is somewhat analogous to the myth of Isis and Osiris, in which the latter is cut into 14 pieces by his evil brother Set, who carries these pieces across the world. Osiris is then restored to wholeness by Isis, who seeks out and finds 13 of those parts, then recreates the 14. Osiris is resurrected by Isis through the gathering together of his parts as a result of her great love for him. In this same manner, the Earth will also be resurrected by the eventual merging together of its various parts, which are spread out through space-time and across various alternate realities and dimensions. A major step in this process will be accomplished through what is being called the ascension, but by no means is that the end of it. Yet another factor in Corbola Masada's part in the Earth ascension dynamics is the fact that they sit on the key Pylythia, P-L-Y-T-H-E-A, Pylythia, or pillar node for the Leo-ish pillar of deliverance in its interface with the New Earth Star reality. The Leo-ish pillar, which extends through the 44 Stargate between the old Earth and the new Earth, is referred to as the Skittium, S-K-I-T-T-U-I-M. It is the main transport mechanism for the ascension and also maintains stability between the various parts of the whole New Earth Star dynamic as it comes together into a cohesive reality system. In the New Earth Star reality, there are specific points or nodes where the Skittium interface with it. The city of Corbola is positioned intentionally on one of these pillar nodes. Although they are not yet activated, There are such plethia in the old Earth, our current Earth, as well. The 12 gates of the Ascension Temple Matrix associated with the Golden Tie allotments are also pillar nodes, as is the Temple of the Risen One or Great Pyramid. The Leoish finds its primary calibration between the new Earth star and the current Earth via the Corbola-Masada dynamic link with the other TEMPLA MAR satellite sites, serving as reference points for future stability. We will now take a better look at the Mogollon Rim anchoring, its link to Masada and Corbola, and how it facilitates the other satellite anchor points for the TEMPLA MAR on the current Earth. Masada is the primary interface for the TEMPLA MAR future consciousness translation into current Earth reality. Yet this future consciousness needs to have an intelligent command center established to distribute and interface its light codes within the current Earth's reality structure. Thus, the command center allows the light codes being transmitted from the future through the TEMPLA MAR to be of use in the current Earth ascension programs of light. Without such an interface as the command center, the future light codes would be largely unintelligible within our time frame. This is the purpose beyond Thoth's request for the installation of the Mogollon Rim grid in 1994. It serves as the command center which allows the hierarchy to attenuate the crystalline grid of the Earth from this point in order to decode and feed specific light codes into the various satellite sites at the appropriate times. The Masada dynamic would not be of much use without the Mogollon Rim command center unless another such center was established in a suitable location. At this time, there are 4 satellite locations which the Mogollon Rim command center is feeding and modulating. Split Rock, Michigan, anchored in 1994. Crestone, Colorado, where I am now, anchored in 1994. Kailua Crater Rim, Hawaii, anchored in 1997. I can't say this word, SCHIEHALLION, Sha'Maia-NEAAF, Scotland, anchored in 1998. The Earth anchor points for the TEMPLA MAR are chosen in accordance with a certain set of criteria as follows. 1, the site must be on a main Earth meridian, and generally it is desirable for it to be on a node where major ley lines or meridians intersect each other. 2, the site must have a regional consciousness that can be of benefit to those accessing the TEMPLA MAR future consciousness translation and which is in resonance with the future vector. In other words, the area must have powerful ancient earth spirits and ancestral blood consciousness memory. The reason for this criteria is that the future consciousness being transmitted through the TEMPLA MAR dynamic must be modulated into the planetary field upon a resonant harmonic waveform, thus altering both of them and in effect forming a bridge of light between the current planetary mind and the future planetary mind. If there were too many dissonant factors present in the local Earth spirit regional consciousness for any reason, this would seriously affect the bridge. The area must be fairly easily accessible to light workers since willing human beings are, needed to facilitate the installation of the TEMPLA MAR grid at any given geophysical location. The TEMPLA MAR will need more anchor points in the current Earth reality as time progresses. The anchoring of these points is a sequential process of unfoldment orchestrated by the hierarchy. This is necessary in order to link the time translation field of the TEMPLA MAR and the consciousness it is intended to feed into our reality, to the living Gaia soul mind. The various anchoring procedures given by the hierarchy form specific geophysical attunements through the individuals involved, which enable this process to take place. The hierarchy monitors the effect of the TEMPLA MAR future consciousness translations into the planetary mind. When the latter has assimilated to a specific level that which it has been which it has been offered, another satellite location is added to accelerate that infusion to the next level. The choice of site location is critical also in that one suitable site may be much more potentially powerful than another. While the planetary mind may be ready for a further acceleration, it may not be deemed ready for that great an infusion. Thus, a lesser site may be chosen as an in-between phase or step up into the next level. Now, no more anchoring has been asked of me since that long ago time. So maybe it's being done by other persons on the planet. Maybe there's another, now that those anchors were created, maybe there's a higher grade level that's accomplished and doesn't need human people running around doing this. Or maybe it's waiting for me to read this article now and to start up a new program on that. I do know that the Areopax anchoring, I'm feeling that, if we were to do more TEMPLA MAR anchoring, we would definitely use the Areopax to do it. And we probably did in those days, but I can't remember because it's just too long ago. The TEMPLA MAR has no specific interface with Earth grids per se, and yet it does interface with the effect those Earth grids have upon the world consciousness. The TEMPLA MAR operates in a highly intelligent modality connecting more with soul-level consciousness than with magnetic consciousness systems. However, other grid systems do have an effect on the TEMPLA MAR and vice versa, yet this effect comes through the human soul intelligence that is working with both systems and is not a result of a direct grid-to-grid exchange. Thus, in truth, the TEMPLA MAR was created to interact with human souls and not with magnetic earth grids or systems. As it breathes, so the soul breathes. And when the breath of the human soul has come into true synchronization with the pulsing signal breath of the TEMPLA MAR, that soul will realize its future consciousness. Ooh, I like that. Sip of water here and I'll continue. The TEMPLA MAR's interface with humanity. The TEMPLA MAR also contains a sub-reality, of its own, which human spiritual initiates may enter in order to re-access specific light programs encoded within their light bodies and DNA. These light programs are also held within the greater past, present, future continuum, awaiting our return. Once reactivated, these programs of light will allow the souls who have accessed them, having a throat problem here, who have accessed them to rejoin the universal family of the Adam Kedmon, which is also known as the Humanity League. All right. The TEMPLA MAR serves as a tool to help humanity prepare for the full impact of ascension energetics and to bring about coherency between the various human energy bodies. The importance of this cannot be stressed enough. Ascension energetics will be most powerful and blissful to those who are adequately prepared, but it could be quite difficult if much disharmony remains among the various human energy bodies. It is the hierarchy's wish that humanity be given a full measure of divine grace for this preparation, and the TEMPLA MAR is one way that it is being administered. As part of this grace factor, humanity's link with the Rana time wave will also be healed to the next level through the activity of the TEMPLA MAR dynamic in conjunction with certain elemental beings. A portion of our beingness has become separated from the Rana time wave, the time component of our true origins, through the formation of the Kali Rift. The TEMPLA MAR serves to balance the interaction between the earth incarnate souls and other highly evolved elemental beings, i.e. cetaceans. Am I saying that right? Yes, cetaceans and unicorns. These specific elemental beings operate more freely in other dimensions, alternate realities, and time zones, and have a greater portion of their beingness still within the Rana. This greater balance effect by the TEMPLA MAR lessens the time fracture distortions that are currently present in our interactions with these elemental beings. And that limits our ability to truly commune with them. These elemental beings represent an aspect of humanity which has not been fully separated from the Rana time wave by the Kali Rift. Thus, through a more balanced interaction with them, we can reclaim that which is our true heritage. Elemental beings such as dolphins, whales, and unicorns are able to holographically receive the signal breath, which is emanating from the TEMPLA MAR future consciousness translations much more fully than are humans. When speaking of the signal breath, I believe this is referring to the Opa and the breaths of the Opa. I'm going to be doing a video on that later, and that is something I wrote about a few years ago, but I just wanted to mention it for those of you who are familiar with it. This is because of their holographic brainwave functioning, which allows a higher degree of resonance with this future consciousness signal than is currently possible for incarnate humanity. These elemental beings take this signal breath and incorporate it into their own reality spectrum, which is part of the elemental planetary mind, thus helping to seed it for humanity to access within its own elemental aspects. This elemental aspect of humanity is the cellular consciousness. Therefore, the dolphins, whales, unicorns, and other highly evolved elemental beings are able to holograph this future consciousness into the cellular aspect of humanity. They do this in a way which transcends the need to progressively evolve the human mind in order to reprogram the DNA so that the cells may operate within their full hologram once again. And just think what we're doing to the whales and the dolphins, and we've already done to the unicorns. And yet they're providing this incredible service for us still. On November 4th, 1993, the tribe light signal became operative within the TEMPLA MAR dynamic. This signal is a specific light code encoding that unites the TEMPLA MAR with tribe light. Tribe light is a specific frequency or channel which is broadcast by an ancient order from a location beneath the Potala in Lhasa, Tibet. The tribe light frequency carries positive and enlightening knowledge in the form of symbols and light pictographs, which can be intercepted by the human brain in deep alpha through theta states, usually during sleep within dream experience. Once the TEMPLA MAR locked on to the tribe light signal, its future consciousness translations become part of the dream time experience for many souls on and within the earth, specifically the inner earth races. This signal also allows the highly evolved Davic elemental beings greater access and communion with the TEMPLA MAR dynamics. Cetaceans and unicorns have the capacity to create various subtle etheric membranes from the TEMPLA MAR energetics, which in turn become higher definition codes for the planetary elemental cellular consciousness. Now, all of this is quite a mouthful, I realize, but I'm really being guided to bring it forward again for all of you. And if you don't have access to this issue and you don't want to become a total subscriber to get it, just know that you're receiving it right now. You don't have to say, now, what did she say? Now, what was that word? What does this mean? Get out of your mind state and just receive the energy that I'm reading here. And I'm reading it a little faster than I would like. But it was a lot of material, and I didn't want to go too slowly because everybody has time schedules they're going to meet. So I'm trying to just go through it, give the patterning, give the resonance, the frequencies, and just let you absorb this. Now there's a part 2 to this, another, which I'm going to put into another video because it's a meditative process. So I'm going to do it in world in Second Life so we can have the ambience, the feeling, and maybe put a little music to it, whatever, and that can help you really connect to what I've just said here. So, you might want to just listen to this through once again, not to try to pick out things and memorize things, but to get the feeling, get the imprint, allow yourself just to become imprinted with it. Because we're going to be working more with the TEMPLA MAR. I can see it's coming back up on the table, so to speak. So this concludes part 1, and I will be creating the meditative process part 2 very soon. Thank you for listening.